Here is the news at 6. First, the highlights. Lagos State Government opens amnesty window on planning permit for completed buildings. Nigeria, Mali, others invest in 100 million euros to assist small-scale farmers. On the foreign scene, Federal Bureau of Investigation opens criminal probe into deadly Baltimore Bridge collapse. And in sports, French President hints at shifting opening ceremony of Paris Olympics amid security concerns. And now the details. I am Akan Usen. Lagos State Government has opened an amnesty window on planning permits in the form of a 3-month moratorium on penalties on completed buildings without planning permits across the state. Permanent Secretary, Office of Physical Planning, Oluwole Shotere, in a statement said property owners and developers of existing developments without approvals can obtain their planning permits, otherwise known as building plan approvals, within the stipulated period of 2nd May to 30th July 2024, without payment of statutory penalties that usually go with erecting buildings without approval in Lagos State. To access the amnesty program, applicants are expected to submit title documents or proof of ownership, survey plan, as built, architectural drawings, and structural, electrical, and mechanical drawings where applicable for assessment. This should be done through district offices of the Lagos State Physical Planning Permit Authority, LASPA, in the 57 local government areas and local council development areas of Lagos State, and the Electronic Planning Permit EPP office at the LASPA headquarters, Oba Kinjobi Way, GRA, Ikeja. Other documents to be submitted for assessment are a non-destructive integrity test report where applicable, a letter of structural stability and indemnity where applicable, a land use planning analysis report, evidence of tax compliance, and other supporting documents where applicable. The amnesty program, which is part of measures of the Lagos State government to cushion the effect of current economic hardships on the built environment sector, also offers additional relief of a 5% discount on payments completed within 10 working days, during the amnesty period. As part of efforts to ensure successful pilgrimage, the Lagos State government is set to begin the administrative and medical screening for the year 2024 intending pilgrims. The board secretary, Yetunde Bafe, in a statement said the screening exercise is scheduled to hold by 9 a.m. on Tuesday, 16th April 2024 at the Chapel of Christ the Light, Alausa, Ikeja. While imploring all intending pilgrims to attend the compulsory exercise, Bafe also enjoined them to come with their yellow card, one passport photograph, an international passport, and original copies of all receipts and tellers of payments. The Lagos State Fire and Rescue Service has expressed concern about the surge in the number of hoax calls received from state residents. The Director of Public Affairs, Lagos State Fire Service, Amodu Shakiru, said the fire service received 505 distress calls between January and March this year, but 143 of the calls turned out to be false alarms. Shakiru said some addresses provided were untraceable. So the toll of these deceptive calls is not merely a waste of time and resources, but also a drain on taxpayers' monies, adding that the service had been working on measures to curb the rising cases of false distress calls. In April 2023, the state government arraigned 18-year-old Solomon Uzoku for offences relating to making hoax calls for an emergency responder. The federal government is set to unveil its plans for the inland waterways and coastal services across the industry. Minister for Marine and Blue Economy Adeboyega Oyetola is expected to unveil the plans at the forthcoming Maritime Business Roundtable breakfast meeting on security and new technologies in inland waterways transportation, scheduled for April 18 in Lagos. He says the federal government, through its renewed agenda, remains committed to increasing the nation's gross domestic product, GDP, by increasing the revenue generated by the ministry. Panelists at the event will include the Managing Director of the Nigerian Ports Authority, NPA, Mohammed Bello Koko, and the Director General of the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, NIMASA, Dayo Mubiriola. Participants at the event are port users, maritime stakeholders, government agencies, banks, insurance companies, ship owners, boat operators, logistics companies, freight forwarders, oil and gas companies, and foreign entities. According to the minister, the benefits of the Maritime Breakfast Roundtable include visibility, growth, networking, impartation, and exchange of knowledge. And now to the rest of the stories. Nigeria, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger Republic have collectively invested 100 million euros to boost the agricultural resilience of small-scale food producers in the Sahel region. The initiative is aimed at making a lasting impact in the fight against desertification and land degradation, and landscape and watershed management through participatory planning, effectively integrating soil, water, and biodiversity. The Director, International Fertilizer Development Centers Program, Bijokoza Fofana, announced this during the pre-launch of its new initiative, Soil Values, in Abuja. In 2023, the Food and Agriculture Organization said no fewer than 26.5 million Nigerians may face a food crisis between June and August 2024. The international body said states such as Borno, Sokoto, and Zamfara, including the Federal Capital Territory, were at a bigger risk. The FAO country representative, Dominique Kouakou, blamed persistent insecurity situations such as insurgency, banditry, and other challenges like natural resource-based conflicts and high costs of food and agricultural inputs due to inflation for food insecurity. As part of efforts to empower women entrepreneurs with tech and digital skills for economic growth and development, wife of the president, Oluremi Tinubu, has flagged off the Southwest Renewed Hope Initiative, RHI Women in Tech Training. Addressing participants at the flag-off of the training program held at the University of Lagos, Akoka, Mrs. Tinubu, who was represented by the wife of the Lagos State Governor, Ibijoke Sanwo-Olu, stated that the training will equip women entrepreneurs with necessary skills and resources to compete favorably in the technology world. She informed that the training initiative corroborates the Sustainable Development Goal 5 that seeks to achieve gender equality, full participation of women, and equal opportunities for leadership at all levels of decision making. According to her, the Women in Tech digital training program is more than just a series of workshops, but a symbol of the government's commitment in bridging the gender divide in the digital world. Mrs. Tinubu said technology enhances efficiency, facilitates innovation, and improves quality of life, in addition to its potency in driving economic growth and providing solutions to global challenges in the environment, healthcare, and governance, among other sectors. And now to foreign news. The Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, has opened a federal criminal investigation into the deadly collapse of a Baltimore bridge last month when a ship crashed into one of its supports. According to a spokesperson, FBI agents had boarded the cargo ship Dali to conduct court-authorized law enforcement activity regarding the crash. In the early morning of March 26, the massive container ship lost power and crashed into a support pillion, sending the Francis Scott Key Bridge collapsing into the Patapsco River and killing 6 people who were working on the span at the time of the crash. The investigation into the collapse will focus in part on whether the crew of the cargo vessel Dali left the port knowing the freighter had serious problems with its systems. Safety investigators have recovered the ship's black box recorder, which provides data on its position, speed, heading, radar bridge audio, and radio communications, as well as alarms. And away from all that, now sports. French President Emmanuel Macron says Paris Olympics opening ceremony could move from the River Seine if the security risk is too high. Macron said it could be limited to the Trocadero across the Seine from the Eiffel Tower instead of covering the planned stretch of the river. He said it could even be moved to the Stade de France, reverting to a traditional ceremony. The opening ceremony is set to be the first to be held outside a stadium. More than 10,000 athletes are expected to sail along a 6-kilometer stretch of the Seine on some 160. The organizers had originally planned to accommodate about 600,000 people to watch the ceremony from the riverbanks, but that has now been scaled down to 300,000 people. It has already been revealed that tourists will not be given free access to watch the ceremony, as was originally planned. Instead, tickets will be by invitation only, not via open registration. And that's all for the news at 6. Just before we go, ensure you make use of your seatbelt while driving. You can follow us on like all our various social media platforms. On X, Traffic Radio 961. Instagram, Lagos Traffic Radio 961. On YouTube, subscribe and watch us live on our channel, Traffic Radio 961. You can also visit our website on www.trafficradio961.ng. Did you know that the Sanwo-Olu administration provided 450,000 pupils with e-learning devices? You can get more details on the Lagos State Government's website. To end the news, here are the highlights of the major stories. Lagos State Government has opened an amnesty window on planning permits in the form of a 3-month moratorium on penalties on completed buildings without planning permits across the state. Nigeria, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger Republic have collectively invested 100 million euros to boost the agricultural resilience of small-scale food producers in the Sahel region. We also told you that the Federal Bureau of Investigation has opened a federal criminal investigation into the deadly collapse of a Baltimore bridge last month when a ship crashed into one of its supports. And in sports, French President Emmanuel Macron said the Paris Olympics opening ceremony could move from the River Seine if the security risk is too high. For contact with the newsroom, please send a message to info@trafficradio961.ng. And that ends the news broadcast compiled by Abiola Fagbalagun. I am Akan Usen. Thanks for listening and please stay safe. Good evening.
Timeliness